My name is Lemuel Gulliver. I was born in England in 1661. When I was only 14 years old, my father sent me to Cambridge University. I studied medicine and learned about navigation because I wanted to travel the world. After 3 years, I left university because my father had very little money. I found work as a doctor on a ship and made several voyages. I saw some of the most interesting places in the world. After a few years, I returned to England and married a woman named Mary Burton. We lived in London, where I worked as a doctor. I quickly discovered that many doctors were dishonest. Although I worked hard, my business started to fail. Soon, there was no work for me in the city, so I found a job as a doctor on a ship again. I traveled the oceans for 6 more years. I had planned to come home after this time. I haven't seen my wife, Mary, for 6 years, I said to myself.
But then, I had an opportunity. We're starting a new voyage to exciting places. If I were you, I'd take this job as our ship's doctor.
And so, I did. For the first few months on the Antilope, everything was fine. Then, one day, there was a terrible storm.
Our ship hit a rock and started to sink!
With 6 other men of the ship, we dropped a small boat over the side into the waves. Just then, a strong wind hit our little boat. I don't know what happened to the other men. I fell out of the boat into the ocean. I swam for many hours, and the water was very deep. Just when I thought I couldn't swim anymore, I realized I could touch the bottom of the shore with my toes. I pulled myself to the shore. I had no idea where I was. I couldn't see any people or houses in that place. The weather was hot, and I was wet and tired. I fell asleep on the grass. When I woke up, I tried to stand up, but I couldn't. Then I tried to lift my head, but I couldn't do that either. I noticed that my hair was tied to the ground by my hair, and by many little ropes across my body. I heard noises, but I couldn't understand what they were. It's okay, I've been dreaming, I said to myself. But then, I felt pain all over my body and knew I wasn't asleep. I looked and saw many tiny people who were only 15 centimeters tall all around me and shooting arrows at me. They continued shouting, throwing arrows at me. It was more painful than I imagined. I shouted out. I tried not to move, and I was very quiet. So they stopped trying to hurt me. For a few days, they kept my hands and feet tied up. The people watching over me gave me lots of food and water. They climbed up my body, carrying baskets full of meat and bread. After a while, they tied me onto a cart and pulled me with hundreds of tiny little horses to their capital city. However, it was very small for me. I couldn't even stand up in it. The people of Lilliput made a bed for me, with 600 of their beds tied together. In London, I used to be a normal-sized man, but here in Lilliput, I was a giant. News of my arrival in Lilliput quickly traveled around the land. People came from all over to see me.
One day, I met the Emperor of Lilliput.
Please, let me go home.
No. We are fighting with our neighbors, and we need your help. You are bigger and stronger than we are.
I decided to watch the neighbors and learn about their plans. I saw that they had many tiny ships. They were planning to sail them to Lilliput and attack. Because their ships were much smaller than me, it was very easy for me to stop them. I asked the Lilliputians for some rope, and I used it to tie all the neighbors' ships together. I pulled the ships to Lilliput, where the Lilliputians were waiting. I picked up the neighbors' soldiers in my hands and put them in prison. I did not hurt them, but Lilliput was safe again. The Emperor was very pleased with me, but one day, I did something he did not like. He wanted to hurt me again, so I decided to escape from Lilliput. Soon, I was sailing back to England. I stayed in England for 2 months, but I wanted to travel. I joined a ship called the Adventure.
After another storm, we arrived on an island and decided to explore.
When I walked back to the shore, the Adventure was sailing away.
I shouted and waved my arms, but they didn't turn around.
Then I saw why. A giant was swimming after the ship.
I ran up a hill.
From there, I could see the countryside around me. The corn in the fields was 12 meters high. I walked down the hill, and suddenly a giant farmer picked me up between his fingers. He smiled and took me home to live with his family.
People came and paid a lot of money to see me.
The farmer became very rich.
One day, the queen of that place, Brobdingnag, asked to see me.
She liked me and gave the farmer 1,000 pieces of gold for me.
I went to live with the king and queen, and they took me everywhere in a traveling box, like a pet.
I wasn't very happy. One day, they took me to the beach in my box. Suddenly, an enormous eagle picked up my box and flew away with me. Then, it dropped me. I landed on the water with a big splash. I was very worried because I had no food or water. Not long after, I heard voices. It was a passing ship, and the people on it were the same size as me. I climbed onto the ship, and we sailed home to England again.
As usual, I didn't stay in England for very long. 2 months later, I was working on a ship again. On the voyage, we were attacked by pirates. They took our ship and everything in it, and they sent me away in a small boat. I arrived at an island and set up camp. It was a very strange place, because I couldn't see the sun for a long time. When I looked up, I saw another island floating in the sky above me. I soon learned that this island's name was Laputa. The people of Laputa weren't interested in me. They were very strange. They spent their days looking at books and doing very unusual scientific experiments. One man tried to make sunshine from a cucumber. Another man tried to make a house, starting with the roof. They were very bad scientists. I wanted to leave Laputa, but no ships were coming for a month. While you are waiting, go and visit other islands.
And so, I did. A month later, I travelled back to England again.
I stayed with my family for 5 months. Then, I had a chance to become the captain of my own ship. I quickly learned that being captain of a ship was a difficult job. Many of the crew became sick and died. I found more sailors, but they were dishonest and became pirates. They left me on the shore of an island I did not know. What a strange island it was. I did not find people on the island. There were some very ugly creatures that looked half human, half goat. There were also some very intelligent horses called Houyhnhnms that could talk. They were much more intelligent than the horses in England. The horses gave me some food that I didn't like. They told me that the human goats were called yahoos. The yahoos loved that horrible food. Although they thought I was a strange kind of yahoo, the horses were kind to me. They taught me their language. They explained that the yahoos worked for them. And when I told them that in Europe horses work for people, they couldn't believe it. I lived with the Houyhnhnms for 2 years, and I learned to love them. Their way of life was much better than ours at home. When I returned home to England, I did not want to live with other people anymore. Now, I spend my time with animals, and I talk to horses.